Nazarene on the track.
Hey guys, give me a second. Let me just get my microphone set up. But welcome to the Diasporan experience. Shout out to you, Four Blacks, and congratulations. The channel is growing very fast. Uh, we may have to have a meeting so that I can help you get monetized, right? Point. Or exchange some emails. But yeah, well done. Congratulations. Four Blacks, you're doing well. Keep it up. Keep it up. So, welcome to the show today. Don't fall for complicated land scams in Ghana and the Gambia. Watch this if you're Black Diasporan. Now, we all know about the year of return. Really, it was a year of the scam, and it was Ghana scamming Black Americans specifically. There's reasons why we know that they're scam Black Americans. There's a lot of different people that came from the Gambia or West Africa generally, from the slave trade. You have Black Americans, you have Caribbeans, we talk about Jamaicans, Guyanans, Guyanese, all these people that came from there, although they're mixed, some of them in Guyana, etc. Some of these people came from Africa, came from West Africa, from Ghana. Ghana focused on Black Americans because they wanted the American dollars. Because actually, as Four Black said in one of her videos, she mentioned that they couldn't pay back Eurobonds, and there was a scam so that to pay back the Eurobonds, that they would use the $2 billion that came from Black America. That's a lot of money. That is actually for Ghana, how they got their foreign exchange that year. Now, here's a problem and why it's a scam. And here's why sometimes Africans need to take a hit and be able to rethink the way that they practice businesses, right? You can't invite a stranger to your home claim that they can get land, right? First of all, you told them, some of them, the land is free. You told them that there will be a pathway to citizenship. None of that happened for majority of the Black Americans that came there. People were buying land and being scammed. They were buying land from everyone, from chiefs, from individuals, from companies, from lawyers. It didn't matter. They were getting scammed, right? You buy land and then someone else tells you, sorry, that is my land. You buy land, someone else tells you, sorry, this land is actually family land. Ghana has a very, very complicated land buying process, right? And also, as a Black American, you are not going to get more than 50 years leasehold. Yes, it can go up to 100 years, but that is also another issue. Point is, right, I don't recommend anyone going to the Ghana or even Gambia, because Gambia, Black American women are being killed. Just recently, a woman was killed in the Gambia. Right, this one was a Black British woman, but still it's the same thing. Right, to them, they don't know the difference between me and a Black American by my accent. To them, they just think we're all the same. So if you are a Black American, do not go to Gambia, especially if you're a woman. Do not buy land in Ghana, because you most likely will be scammed. And I'm not saying this to belittle Ghana or Gambia. I'm telling you the facts of what's been happening on the ground. These scams have to stop. And if you don't stop it, I'm going to call it out, because this is bad behavior, right? The idea of inviting someone to your home and then you just go around mistreating them and just to scam them doesn't make any sense to me, right? This, to me, I think is still the same behavior why they even sold people to begin with, right? I just don't think that this behavior came out of nowhere. If you are a Black American, don't go to West Africa. There's nothing there for you. And if you do want to come to Africa, I suggest go to the countries that are a little bit better, right? Try South Africa, try Namibia, try Botswana. These are countries that are well organized. You can even try Nairobi, right? If you come to Kenya, a little bit. Don't buy anything, don't buy lands, don't be scammed, don't do any of those things. Just go explore the environment, see if it's something that you like, and then you decide what to do. But these scams going on in West Africa, don't fall for them, because all they'll do is bring you misery, and you will come back hating Africans more than you'd actually love them, because you realize that a lot of these people are scammers, right? It's the same mindset that they took on previously when they were, again, slave trade, right? Do you think white people came into the interior of West African jungles to capture people? No, they couldn't survive. There was malaria, right? There was typhoid. There was a lot of diseases inside there that they were not used to compared to the locals. So they would have died if they went into the interior. They did not get people from the interior. It was collaborators, right? So I'm just saying, whatever is happening right now has been happening, right? It's the same thing that happened prior. All right.
Is a very
This is my morning show. People usually come in for the evening show, so everyone comes in for the show. Like I think it's usually around 12 hours from now. So yeah, in the morning show, we usually don't get people coming through.
big one, especially in two countries, the Gambia and Ghana. Ghana has the heavyweight crown of African Americans in the diaspora relocating to Africa. That means if you've never lived in Africa before, or your family isn't going to Africa, what you're most likely to do is to relocate in Ghana over the other countries. And so far, so good. But wait right there. Stop the show. There has been some problems with the land scamming. In this clip here from this young lady in the Gambia, Renee Marcus, explains it all.
Landowners are taking the advantage because African diasporas are coming back. Even lands that they don't own, they are selling them.
Now, that's the first step that you want to know that this is 100% a scam. People in Ghana, right? Some of them are willing to sell you something that doesn't even exist. It's not on any land registry office. But here's the thing as well. As a diasporan, you have to take the L a little bit as well. You cannot go and buy land, and just because everyone is blackety black, everyone's African, somehow that is meaningful of anything. No. Because you're black, because you're African or African descendant, right? They will scam you even more. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Do not use sentimentalism with the Africans. The Africans over there will scam you if you come and buy land. And Africans, also some Black Americans are selling fake land over there, right? Fake consultants. You just have to be careful. I suggest you come to Africa and you've been coming here for a while. Let's say you've been coming to Nairobi, come here at least 5 times. I'm being serious. Come 5 times and stay 1 month each time that you come. So when you come to Nairobi, those 5 times, go and get a lawyer. Look at the whole process of buying and purchasing land. Look at the law. Ask multiple lawyers, more than one, right? Ask 2 different lawyers about how you can buy land as a foreigner. I'll tell you simply this. I'm not a lawyer, right? But I know some basics. You, as a foreigner in Kenya, can only own land for 100 years, technically 99 years. Don't fall for anyone telling you can own it for longer. The only way you can own it for longer is if you marry a Kenyan, you put the house or property in your child's name, right? Who then would have Kenyan citizenship. That's the only way you can own that land for up to 1,000 years, aka 999 years for freehold. That's the only way, right? Don't fall for anything, or you get your own citizenship in Kenya, right? Which costs very expensive, or you can get it cheap depending how you talk, right? In Africa, it's all about talking to people. That's how things happen. You create a friendship with someone in a powerful position, you talk to them, and then you get your citizenship over there, right? So that's the only way I would recommend buying anything in Africa.
Alcalos are selling lands that basically doesn't belong to them. Alcalos are selling lands to more than 3 or 4 people. And those alcalos are meant to be the middleman between the one that wants to purchase the landowner, and the alcalo. But this is not happening.
That's right. People having the same land and reselling it over and over again. But Go Black to Africa also talked about it. Let's check him out.
But I want to share with you all the most disappointing thing I have yet had to report thus far when it comes to the land in Ghana. Many of you all have seen my video when I have advised many people, do not buy land in Ghana. Many people take this as a stab towards Ghana or the Ghanaians, when I've said before that if you mess around with land in Ghana, you just might get scammed. I've reported that a Cebu, a place that was signed, sealed, and delivered, approved even by the president, is under attack and in courts over family disputes, where many African Americans and those in the diaspora from the UK and other places have built their property.
Was supposed to be the Cebu project. And from what I'm hearing about the project, it's mixed views. There was some level of down payment, and that project pretty much gave a portion of land and plots to the diaspora as long as they paid some title fees and clearance fees. Of course, from what I've read, it caused some friction between the people that live there who could not get the land. So I really don't know how it's working out.
Now, I'll tell you this. All of these projects, these villages for diasporans happening in West Africa, don't fall for the scam. I'll tell you exactly why, right? You are trusting, right, a consultation group. This project that they claim to be building might not even exist. Most of you won't even go to Ghana first and look at it to see if it even is there on the ground. Most of you will be trusting the whole feeling of this whole Pan-African movement. Don't do it, right? Just don't do it. Don't go around buying. In Africa, you must see everything before you buy it. You cannot just go around sending your money and using hope mechanics that it's going to work. It's not going to work. You have to be on the ground. You have to see the village. You have to see, does it exist? You have to do a background research on who actually owns that piece of property that the buildings are being built on. So all these Pan-African village projects, what you're going to realize is they bought the wrong land. They were scammed themselves. You know, I'm not saying everyone is a scammer. Only one person has to be a scammer in this project, right? And there's different layers of people with different powers, right? The person that owns the land can be a scammer. This village group of this website who bought the land could also be the scammer, right? The lawyer could be a scam. You're not even sure which level of scamming that you're being involved in. I just say don't do it. Look, if you want to go and live in Africa, go to a main city. Like I'm telling you the truth. Go to Pretoria. Go to Johannesburg, South Africa. Go to Nairobi, Kenya. Go to Botswana. Go to the capital cities of these countries and just buy yourself a normal apartment. right? Buy a normal apartment, go to the legal office, right? Do a land registry check to the person selling you the property. Make sure all the paperwork is done. Do not buy anything from these Pan-African projects. Don't buy anything from these village chiefs. The moment a chief is involved in a transaction, cut that transaction off. The moment a family land is involved in that transaction, cut it off. Don't bother getting yourself in trouble because you believe it's African cultural stuff. No, chiefs, any of that stuff, don't do it. The only way you get the chiefs involved is if you are from that tribe, right? If I want to go buy land from my tribe, that's fine because I can involve the chief. They know me, my name is there. It's actually written on my passport, my tribe affiliation, the lands, where I'm from, etc. Only way to buy land if you want to buy it from chiefs, if you are an African from that tribe. Otherwise, don't do it. You will not be protected. That will be stolen from you. I'm just being honest.
I've heard mixed bags on both, and some people say that everything is going great, and then some people say things are not. It just depends on who you talk to. But I want to get to this brother that I've come across. His name is Dr. Mulana, and he has a YouTube page called Ministry of the Future. He's an elder that has been living in Ghana for a long time and been doing some work there for a long time. And he wants to send a warning about African Americans or the black diaspora attempting to get free land in Ghana. Let's see what he has to say.
I will try to give you some dynamics of, buying land and what you need to be looking out for as Africans of the diaspora. And the first thing is this, is that we're having in Ghana, and for that matter, I've heard in the Gambia as well. There are rumors circulating that the indigenous are ready to fight the Africans of the diaspora. In some instances, it's said particularly African Americans, that the indigenous are ready to fight them because African Americans or Africans in general are taking their land. Now, what Africans of the diaspora do not understand,
and so that both parties understand, Africans are tribal. You belong to a tribe. There is no such thing as African, right? And there's no identity or ethnicity called African. It doesn't mean anything. If you go to Ghana, you go to Gambia, there are specific tribes that occupy specific pieces of land. These people were not nations prior to colonization. These people were these countries were not nations, right? But the people were living in nations, which is also called tribe. If you go to Ghana and you're trying to buy Ashanti, Akan land, and you're not an Ashanti or Akan, the Akan people living there will start feeling a certain way towards you, and they will feel that you're a foreigner encroaching on their land. Do not buy tribal land. You go to Gambia, right? The wall of the Mandinka, right? Maybe the Fula. These people own specific areas of land in specific territories. Do not think that you're going to go there as a foreigner and be able to purchase land there and actually feel as if you're one of them, unless you marry into their tribes and then you become somewhat tethered to them. They're not going to protect you. That's the point. I'm being very, very serious here. This is one reason why the Black American woman was killed recently. She went into a village, lived in a village of a tribe that she's not part of. If you want to come to Africa, you must stay in the capital cities. Do not venture into the villages unless you have protection, right? If you marry into the tribes, maybe that will be helpful, but otherwise, I don't recommend it.
and I'm speaking for someone who's been on this continent for a long period of time, believe me. And I know what I'm talking about is a fact, and you can take it to the bank. When you are coming to Africa to buy land.
So let me give you context, right? You as a Kikuyu in Kenya cannot go and start buying land in the Turkana region. The Turkanas, right, will get rid of you somehow, whether forcefully or violently. Now, you can go do business there by respecting their culture, but the moment you start owning pieces of land in underdeveloped areas where it's still tribal, you are putting your life at risk. I'm being very, very clear. Yes, you can do business. The moment you start succeeding, you need to start thinking of how you're going to protect yourself and live in a more safe environment. People in Africa are tribal. Land is tribal. Forget you as a diasporan. you are even more of a foreigner, right? Even within the nations, it's very tribal, right? An Amhara cannot go and buy land in Oromo land, right? And still claim that they're an Amhara. They would have to tether and pretend that they're an Oromo, for example.
Or if you are coming as, say for an example, the chieftaincy or paramount chief has made a pledge to give Africans land free. Well, let me tell you, my brothers and sisters, there is no land free in Ghana.
Right.
Yep, there is no free land, Gamma. Do not fall for scams. There's no such thing as free land in Africa anywhere. Even there was a Kenyan project as well claiming something similar. I forgot the video. I'll have to dig it up and do a video later. Anyone claiming that there's been a portion of land being given to Black Americans, to Black diasporans, apart from Ethiopia, right, where they actually Shashamane, where they actually did give it to them, is a scam. The only place in Africa that free land was given and actually there's people living in that land is Shashamane in Ethiopia, in the Oromo. By the land was given to the Black diasporans. And of course, the Rastafari took advantage of it and they moved there and lived there. But even then, a lot of that land was stolen from them after Haile Selassie gave it to them. So I'm just saying, anything that says free, just avoid it in Africa. There's no such thing as free in Africa. Africa is the most capitalistic areas in the world. Most capitalistic place in the world. I promise you, there is nothing free here in Africa. If you don't pay for something, it's not real. And even if you pay for something, you must double check to make sure it's real.
He says there's no such thing as free land in Ghana. Usually it has some levels of fees with it. There's some level of other taxes with it, but there is no level of free land. He also talks about in the video that if you're going to get land from Ghana, then you need to have two bodies that are present working on the land. That means a land from the ancestral land, like a chief, and somebody from the diaspora to make things a smoother process. Let's listen.
Chieftaincies say that they are giving Africans of the diaspora land. There's nothing wrong with that. If the land is to be given out, you have to pay goodwill money. It's good. But before you jump on that gift, there should be a council of elders established. And hear me closely on that.
Unless you are Ghanaian, unless you are an Ashanti or a Khan, do not buy land in Ashanti or Akan lands. Simple as that. I would not recommend any of this council of elders. This works because of the inter-tribe and inter-clan system. Ghana is a very tribal country with tribal laws. The chiefs have as much power as the actual courts. And all land in Ghana is basically owned either by chiefs, families, or the government, right? Even individuals don't really own land. They're leasing the land, right? I just have to make that clear. There aren't even no freehold land in Ghana, really. It's chiefdoms and the government that owns these lands. Do not invest in a place that has all these disadvantages, right? As a diasporan, be very, very careful for any kind of scam. You are not Ghanaian. Unless you become a Ashanti, right, through marriage or any sort of affiliation, you will not be protected. They'll only protect you because you have a child with a man or woman in that country, and they are now part of that clan system, depending on how the system works, right? So that's it. And you as a woman have it easier to become another tribe because your child, right, your son or daughter would become a Khan or Ashanti because Africa is patrilineal. So just be very careful.
There should be a council of elders on the indigenous side as well as the diaspora. And this council should be formatted in coming together to project every iota of the roadmap and blueprint of building that community on that land with the African of the diaspora acquisitioning property.
He also talks about the future issues that are going to happen with the diaspora and those living on the land, okay? Or those from that particular area. Let's play that clip and then we're going to come back.
Now, the reason I'm saying that is this. I mean, logically, Africans of the diaspora, we know when they come to Ghana, come to Africa, the income status and their standard of living is much higher than what the
Yeah, another thing as well, when it comes to health, be very careful when coming to Africa. And when I say health, I'm talking about if you have chronic illnesses, you need to choose carefully which country that you're going to come into. If you have chronic illnesses, do not go to the Gambia. The Gambia has like one hospital, and I'm not even capping, right? I had Gambian friends, and they were working on these hospitals. There's like two hospitals in the country, one or two, right? They don't even have ventilation machines. I think they have like one in the country. So if you have chronic health issues, you need to be very selective of which countries are to in Africa. Go to countries that actually have a market economy and good hospitals. I can guarantee you, in Kenya, there's a hospital owned by the Indians called Aga Khan, receive world-class standards. If you go to Gambia, do not blame anyone if something happens to you. Do not go to dusty countries in Africa. Issues like this man does. He looks like he's struggling.
general are receiving. While an indigent finds it very difficult to acquisition property. I mean, buying land. They can't get it. Many don't have the resources to go and buy it.
African diaspora. There is no free land grant in Ghana to foreign nationals without conditions. Well, if there's conditions, then it's no longer free. So there is no free land. In math, we can cancel out the without conditions part. Are Ghanaians giving free land by their chiefs? If not, and land is given to foreign national, will there be peace? There is no land being given to anyone, right? These are all scams, right? I'm just being really clear. The only time someone will give you free land is if you are going to develop that environment. And the issue is these people are not coming as investors. They're coming in as individuals exploiting the beautiful, they're exploiting their beautiful environment so that they can benefit themselves, which is nothing wrong with that. But this will definitely lead to enmity between the foreign nationals, aka Black diaspora, and the locals.
So can you just imagine that you have a chief in the area where you're living and is going to give thousands of acres of land to the Africans of the diaspora, which by all means would be considered by immigration to be foreign nationals until they become nationalized or official resident. But can you imagine the effect that would have on the indigent who's living around or on that land? They cannot even afford to buy a plot of land, and they are naturalized, Ghanaians or Gambians. And here you got Africans of the diaspora coming who were not born, are from there by heritage, yes, but that's been 500 years gap. So the return now is happening. And you're coming in, you're getting free land. Already you have created a rift. By the indigenous people would never accept that.
What does he say? He's saying, listen, you're coming from the diaspora with more purchasing power, living a higher quality of life. Even if the land is free, you can afford to pay the taxes or whatever it is. They're taking this land from the people from that region. And again, I had a very controversial comment a few months ago when I said, hey, listen, if the chiefs feel like the people who live there are not doing nothing with the land, then I can see them giving that land to somebody that can develop it. So I believe like 5,000 acres were taken away from those people and then redistributed to the diaspora. Now, it doesn't matter if they can't do anything with the land. They're gonna look at it, I'm talking about those who live in Africa, they're gonna look at it as it's our land.
Yep. Ramwe says, blacks will only pretend to care about you when you are dead, but all the while you are breathing, they dodged you and didn't give two goes. Hypocrisy. Bold scam, yes, we're supposed to want to unify with liars. That's a good point that you're bringing up for blacks. I think you just have to understand that Africa, honestly, Africans are scammers, right? Like, okay, look, for blacks, I think maybe now you understand a little bit why I was a classist in the beginning. In Africa, you cannot do what you do in Black America. Black Americans, I think you guys are more unified in that you don't really scam each other as much. In Africa, there's two classes. There's the scammer class and then there's my class, right? My class, we generally don't scam because we know we can do legitimate businesses. But the other class, unfortunately, they do get themselves into scams and they lie, they exaggerate. Every single time I've made a promise to someone, I fulfilled it. And if I can't, I let them know. If I have to take an L and take the hit, like, or rather take the heat, right? And take the hit, both hit and heat are accurate in this case, right? I just take it, right? Sometimes you just gotta take an L, take the loss, right? And yeah, just take the loss. You don't always have to get what you have, but scammers don't care. They just want to, milk every opportunity from you. Ramwi says, blacks are the only people in the world who love drama more than being progressive. We're pathetic as a race. Yeah, I think that's unfortunately true. We don't really like resolutions.
And even if we can't develop it, you shouldn't take it from us because we're citizens of the country. So what, we don't have it. But these other people are looking like, hey, we want to develop our region, get tax revenue, get some businesses going, and things like that. Right? It's going to be conflict because you're taking the land from the people that were there and they would never have the opportunity to buy land. They don't have any money to buy land. So basically you're taking the land from them and, you're doing whatever you're going to do with it on it. But at the same time, he makes a great point. It's not even the diasporans' fault. This was agreed upon by the parties who wanted to give the land and the diasporans who received the land. So through no fault of your own, and then what you start to see is these people can be sabotaged. There have been horror stories of ladies getting killed over this, and
yeah, just be careful, guys. As I mentioned before, I do not want anyone having their lives or livelihood taken from them just because they came to Africa. As I said, there are areas in Kenya I would not recommend for you to go if you are not of that tribe. And people really need to get this whole tribe thing, right? I'll tell you the areas in Kenya that you can get to, right? Where you will not get scammed, okay? And I'll tell you which tribes are opening to foreigners when they come over to their land, right? So come to Kenya, okay? I live right now in Maasai land, right? I live in Maasai County. I'm not going to say which one, but I do not live in Nairobi anymore. Now, in Maasai County, there's a lot of, it's very mixed here, right? You have Kikuyus, you got Buranas, you got Luos, you got like says Kaiser doesn't give a fuck. Yeah, so you've got you've got all the different kinds of races over here, right? And tribes. So here it's safe. It's safe for anyone to come here. You want to go to an area that is mixed, right? You do not want to go to an area that is only one tribe. Also, we got Maasai's too, right? When you go to an area that is only one tribe, everyone will look at you different. Even if you're from the same country, they will tell the difference because of the different African ethnicities. And the moment they start looking at you differently, that's when your behavior will determine whether you're going to get scammed. I'm just being very, very clear out here, right? I would not go to a Turkana region and think I'm going to be, able to do business there, start succeeding more than the locals, and the locals won't plot and plan against me to kill me or remove my livelihood. And I'm a Kenyan, right? I even speak similar language to them, right? So I'm just saying, you have to be extremely careful where you go, who you talk to, who you do business with. And I do not, I would definitely never go to the Somali region, Duale. That's the last place I'll go. You will not see me in Wajir County. You'll not see me in Garissa. You will not see me in Mandera. Never, ever see me in the Somali region. That one, thank you very much for that. Never, ever see me in a Somali region. Why am I saying that? I start drinking alcohol in Somali region. The kids, and I get drunk, right? Okay, I'm going to attack you randomly. That's not the issue. The issue is if you don't conform to their tribal rules and standards, they're going to come for you. So imagine I get drunk. I'm in a ditch somewhere. Instead of the kids helping me up, they'll start throwing stones at me. I can't go to a hotel unless I'm married, for example, with someone. The Somali region definitely wouldn't go there and do business. Now, of course, I'll visit, but I will not go there and do business. Exactly. Good question, DG. Good question. The only places I'll go to is mixed areas. I'm talking about Kikuyu. It's okay. Nairobi is fine. Maasai land is fine. The big cities, Mombasa is fine. Maybe the small new cities like Nakuru, Naivasha, anywhere where there's multiple tribes living there, I'm comfortable, right? But if it's some dingy, dusty, very, very tribal area, unless I'm affiliated with that tribe, I wouldn't go.
Animals being poisoned. I saw one guy, he had bought some land. He's a Ghanaian actually. And somebody came and poisoned his pigs on the land. It was crazy. It was just a whole bunch of beef. But he talks about this next part that's going to be really good and it's shocking.
One of the things in being in Africa for a long period of time, you realize that Africans of the diaspora, if you come here and you're opening up a project, the first thing, not only should you register to make sure that you are legal and pay the authority for whatever services that are rendered to you, the land or whatever, but you must empower the indigenous community around you so that community will protect you. And that community, if it feels...
Let me give you an example of what this man is saying. So I had a friend, he was Ethiopian, right? And he came into Kenya, into the northern areas, specifically Turkana region. There was some refugee camps there. So they were trying to process their papers so that they can go to Canada or one of the Western countries, but Canada was the main aim. Now, what happened is this friend of mine, he had sisters, right? And what would happen is the Turkana people, because they were naked, they didn't have clothes, they didn't have economic opportunities. And also, not just because of that, also because of the kind of tribes. Let me give an example. Some tribes are still primitive. They don't believe that theft is a crime, meaning it's still free for all, right? They're still kind of believing that we're back in the old days. Turkana is one of these tribes. So they used to steal from the refugees because they thought to themselves, how is this refugee coming to my land but has more than me? They have a phone, they have money, they have clothes, they have food. So they used to steal from the refugees. And again, they don't consider it theft. And I guess it isn't theft because you are in their land, and this is a tribal people who believe in the old school, if I need resources, I can just take it from someone else. The concept of stealing only operates within the boundaries of the rules and laws of the nation. And in Africa, these are nation states, these tribes. Let me simplify it. They're not stealing from you because they can only steal from each other. You are a foreigner, you are an outsider, right? So Turkanas used to do this to any foreigners who were not part of them a lot. So what happened in the end is, even these Turkanas tried to rape my friend's sisters, and they ran back to Ethiopia.
Feels that it is benefiting from your project that you have there. They do not protect you. It means there must be a gap between you and the indigenous community. So my message to you is support the community around you so it can defend you from these unscrupulous minds and some criminals trying to come after you. And it must take into consideration that the indigenous community that has a very low economic base and standard of living, that those who are coming in that have a better standard of living must let some of those resources be channeled off to the most unfortunate.
Shout out to the sponsor of the stream, Uncle Dwale over there. Thank you very much, brother. It says, Kaizo, the reason why you don't go Somali region, because you don't like to be called Jared. Yeah. That is the reason, right? It's because anyway, shout out to you for the €5. Definitely not the reason. I want to have freedom, and I will not have freedom over there. Unfortunately, I'll have to adhere to strict Islamic culture. And me, I'm a free, independent, strong black man.
Ones who need help. So there must be a working plan worked out that can be a projection to say over 10 years, 20 years, that by the number of Africans of the diaspora that are coming in, this council that I'm speaking about, the diaspora on one side, the indigenous traditional rulers council on the other side, they both are operating as parity to oversee that land. They can project 10 years, 20 years down the road. This is where we're going to be from where we are right now. And it would be a win-win situation for both parties, for the Africans of the diaspora or Africans in the indigenous population as well. Because if you do not do that, and what is happening right now, and this is why I'm coming in, if you do not do that and work it out in such an amicable solution for both parties, there's going...
Yeah, look, let me make this really clear, right? you have a few options, right? You marry a woman or a man from the tribe that you want to do business in. They have local connections, right? They have affiliations. They know how to speak to the chief. The chief can't steal land from a local who has connection and ties to that community. Step number one. Step number two, you don't marry a local because you don't want to become part of a tribe. That's fine. You go and buy things only from the capital cities, and you go through all the legal channels and due process. You do not trust anyone or any company. You check all the land registry office together with your lawyer. You don't even trust them to do it for you. You do all the process by yourself with a lawyer to help you. That's step number two. Do not think that you can skip step number one and go into a tribe and buy land from there and not want to integrate to their culture and their community and just be living like you're better than them around. That's not going to happen. That much I will let you know this, right? If you don't integrate, they will definitely you will okay. If you don't integrate, you will disintegrate.
To be an undercurrent, a very nasty undercurrent by the indigenous population that feel that they have been hijacked, to feel that they have had no justice on their land, and they will do everything that they can to make it miserable for the African of the diaspora who has purchased the property. And the African of the diaspora would be totally innocent to a degree or ignorant of the fact of the cultural dynamics that are involved in the acquisition of that land.
He says, listen, if you are going to be in Ghana, you need to make sure that some of the proceeds go back into helping develop people of the ancestral origin of that land, right? I heard a story about this guy.
In fact, let me give you an example, right? I know someone, right? Ike Ogiamien, right? Ike is married to a Ghanaian woman, right? He didn't just go to Ghana and start buying tribal land without being affiliated to the Ghanaians, right? He himself, as a Nigerian man from Benin, had to go and marry a woman, most likely an Ashanti or a Kan, right? In order to go and do business there without having issues, right? You need to understand that when you're doing Pan-Africanism, right? Again, this is for the Pan-Africans. You must integrate to the culture and community that you're going into. If you don't do that, it's not going to go well for you. I don't think I could have just gone buying a random land in Ghana without having connection there that's going to actually allow his businesses to thrive. It doesn't work like that, right? Even the Africans understand how to do business in Africa from different countries.
He was from South Africa. He came to Uganda and he wanted to do something like, I think like grow cows or whatever. And he wanted to run the squatters off the land. They were trying to tell the guy he should hire those squatters. He's like, no, I can't hire squatters. Squatters are lazy. So anyways, he ran the people off the land. So those people came back and they poisoned his animals and they end up stealing things because out of animosity. What Dr. Milana is saying is that, hey, listen, you need to be mindful of what you're doing. You need to make sure that you take care of these people because, hey, these are the people that can help protect you. And if they like you, they'll protect you. There is some truth to that, a lot of truth to it. Because, hey, I got Kanganda and, I'm still here. So, Jonita them ain't beat me up yet. But, who knows what's going to happen in the future. But yes, if people feel like they're benefiting from you being there and you're treating them nice, they will protect you. But also,
Yeah, you know what? Sometimes O'Shea doesn't miss. This time he's making a good point, right? He's right. The reason why Juanita hasn't scammed him and, stolen the business, taken all the money, taken all the equipment and stolen all of it and all that stuff is because she's benefiting, right? Long term, Juanita is able to make an income. She's able to raise her economic independence, and it's thanks to Kanganda, and it's thanks to him for O'Shea for producing the studio. So yeah, he's 100% right. O'Shea didn't do any of that whole feeler stuff. Oh well, no, people are benefiting, right? That's why he's still in Uganda, right? And that's why he did settle in Uganda instead of Kenya, because he doesn't have connections in Kenya. So Uganda was better, right? He already set up the place. He had Juanita and some of the other managers helping him with his business, who he can trust. So yeah, 100%. He's not wrong on this one. O'Shea did not miss.
Like I said, it's a very tough situation for the diaspora to be in. You're getting this land in which others think that it's free. People want their own land as a resource, and then you've gotten it. Yeah, it's It's a very touchy situation. So guys, what do you think? It's your boy, Shadu Jackson, back at it again with another episode here of Fair Use. I'm out.